Well, just a few comments about what's happening in the world as far as Donald Trump's tariffs are concerned. The reality is that the fiscal accounts in the United States, like pretty much like in South Africa, is in deep trouble. They're simply spending too much money. They need to cut back on state expenditure. And there are various ways of doing that. One way is simply going through all the expense items and cut where you can possibly cut. And that's exactly what Elon Musk is trying to do. The other way is try to get more revenue. And in the meantime, we have to understand that the Americans are running huge deficits in terms of trade with most countries in the world, which basically means that they import from the rest of the world more than what they export to the rest of the world. And there's an opportunity for Donald Trump to generate some revenue, and that's part of the reason for these tariffs. So the tariffs will generate an income for its state in the United States, of course, and rebalance international trade. Of course, one can argue whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but it's inevitable that the day will come that the fiscal accounts in the United States will become unsustainable. And this is one way of trying to fix this. Unfortunately, what we've seen in recent years, in fact, is that equity markets have been doing very, very well, especially in the United States, and they are very, very expensive equities in the United States. Now, what Donald Trump is currently doing is going to be a very, very disruptive. So somebody else might have done it slightly differently, less disruptive, but the reality is this is going to be quite disruptive to the world economy and is going to be disruptive to the world financial market as well. There are various schools of thought on whether this is going to result in the US economy falling into a recession, as an example. In the short term, that certainly is possible, and it's also likely to put prices up or inflation up in the short term in the United States. On the medium longer term, it may turn out quite good, depending on how things are done. But the reality is, in the short term, things will be disrupted, and that is exactly what we're seeing at the moment. And the best one can do under these kind of circumstances, sit on your hands and wait it out. The storm will eventually pass.